I'm driven, I'm headed to empower you. Be empowered, be renewed, be uplifted with a brand new attitude. I'm driven to empower you. Be empowered, be renewed, be uplifted with a brand new attitude. I'm driven to empower you.
Welcome back to Driven to Empower You. I'm your host, Willett M Hurst. If this is your first time, welcome to the family. If not, welcome back home. As you can already see, I have a bunch of awesome guests that have came over to visit me today, and they're going to share the stage with me. So I'm going to introduce them one by one. These are our future leaders that are going to take the world back by force. So I'm going to start first with Mr. Joe Smith coming out of Oklahoma. Hey, Joe.
Hey.
How you doing? Tell us a little quick something about you.
I'm 23. I'm from Oklahoma, and I'm an artist.
What type of artist?
Rap, hip-hop, a little bit of everything.
Okay. So next to Joe, and I keep wanting to say Pastor Joe. Next to Joe, I have Natalie. Natalie, tell us you're coming out of Oklahoma too. Tell us something a little bit about you, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm 24. I'm from Oklahoma, and I'm part of Bridging the Gap Church.
Okay. We got Naya, and she's out of North Carolina. We're gonna come back to her. We coming from Stephen, that's out of my hometown, straight out of Cali. Tell us something about you, Stephen.
Hi, my name is Steven. I'm 6 years old. I play basketball.
You don't just play basketball. You slam dunk with the basketball, don't you?
Yeah.
I heard that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Caitlin. Yeah, originally from Texas, coming straight out of Oklahoma now. Tell us about you, Caitlin.
I am 29 and I love to sing for the Lord.
That's the best place to be. We got Sammy coming out of I keep wanting to say North Carolina. I don't know what that is. Coming out of Oklahoma. Tell us about you, Sam.
I'm Samantha, 16. I'm also an artist.
Oh, what type of music?
You are?
Oh, not music artist.
Oh,
you can draw.
Yep.
So let me say this to get for the beginning. Samantha, Natalie, and Joe are siblings. They're also PK kids. So I keep seeing Joe speak for everybody. So I'm going to assume that Joe going to be doing a lot of speaking for y'all youth today, right? Y'all going to let him be a speaker for y'all?
I don't know about that.
Let me be the voice.
So tell us why. So we're here, and Natalie, you're coming from Bridging the Gap Ministries, where I'm currently a member at. Why are we here today? We want to hear what the young people have to say. We always talk all the time, and then see, my generation was you were supposed to be seen and not heard, the young people, right? But what I've seen is that your generation is supposed to be. We need to have open communication because you guys are dealing with so much stuff. Can you share something about that with us?
Well, there's a lot to it. Actually, there really is. There's a lot to it. So there are some youth who they're open to share with them as far as parents, and there are some who either don't want to share or they want to share. They just don't feel comfortable talking about it because they feel like they're not going to get heard, or they feel like their words or their feelings are invalid a lot of the time.
Wow, that says a lot. I'm gonna come back and revisit to what you said. Naya, can you tell us? What you thought you wasn't gonna say nothing?
I didn't know. You said it was gonna come back to me. I was like, okay.
Girl, when I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So Naya coming straight out of North Carolina. So tell us about you.
My name is Shania. I am 18. I'm a senior in college. A senior in high school. I'm going into college, but I'm in North Carolina. I plan on going into early childhood education.
Oh wow, very strong spirit too, young lady. Can you do
Oh
me a
yeah.
favor? Because you can we're getting feedback. Can you put your thing on mic on mute real quick? There you go. But when you talk, we need to hear your voice. You have a lot to say. So go back. Let's elaborate more on you what you were saying now about what you guys as far as not hearing what you guys have to say.
Well, I mean, I've known a lot of people around my age. I tend to stick to myself, but a lot of the time, people tend to, come to me and they feel like they can vent a lot of the time. So, from everything that I've heard, as far as how some of people around my age or younger feels, they feel sometimes they want to speak up, but they have some adults who basically tell them, I'm the adult, what I say goes, or or you don't feel like you have an input, or if you try to, you automatically get shut down because you're still young, you're still youth, you're not grown.
Mm-hmm. And I have to be said, I'm on the show. I like to be transparent. This is my walk. So my kids are 26 and 30, and that was the era I was in. And so it's a lot of stuff that I know that I messed up as a parent. Um, that I wasn't able to listen a lot of times because I was rushing and working a lot and trying to survive a lot. So a lot of stuff I did miss, and that makes sense why a lot of us older generation has not been able to pour into your generation. And that's why a lot of stuff, and then you guys have COVID where you guys have had to deal with a lot of stuff that an older generation has not had to deal with. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Naya, what do you have? You wanted to say something on that?
No. Okay. My freshman year was during COVID, and it kind of shut me off from like my high school entrance experience. And whenever I got in high school, I kind of went crazy, and it was just a lot of me like losing my faith. And I'm just now getting to the point where I can say loud and proud, like I am a Christian and that this is who I am. So I can relate to where she's coming from when she says like, sometimes we want to talk about it and we don't feel like we can. Because like in school now, it's so rare finding someone that's on the same page as you when it comes to things like that. So I relate to that really heavily.
So let's revisit when you said you lost your faith. Why did you think you lost it?
For maybe the first 2 years of high school, I identified as an atheist. I thought that the Bible was just a book written by a bunch of people, and that was just what it was for me. I had an encounter with God, and it solidified everything for me. But that's what I mean whenever I say I lost my faith. I didn't have any regard or any care about it.
And what's you said in order to switch it up, you had to account. Is that what changed everything?
Yeah. It was a really simple thing, but it like spoke like really. It spoke a lot to me. And my mom actually, she continued to like read into me, and I would be like, "How do you know that? You shouldn't know these things, but you know them." And that was my encounter. I was like, all right, so obviously maybe something's wrong with me. So I went further into it, and now I can talk about it openly.
And it takes a lot in this, like I go back to revisit with myself. It's a lot of stuff that I went through in life as a young person that I for some reason, anytime I try to talk, there was no way for me to verbalize it. Yeah, and for you guys to go in here and to talk, I just want to tell you, I'm honored to even be here. Not yet. Caitlin, with you being a young lady too, has the stuff that you have experienced too with that, as far as to your walk with Christ, or just being a young person? You're muted.
How about now?
I did. Mm-hmm.
I was getting a lot of feedback. Sorry. Oh my gosh, my walk with the Lord has been very rocky.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very. I've had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration towards God for a long time, and I get it. I get what they're saying. My whole life growing up, I always felt like the outcast. I always felt like, uh, kind of like you said, Willa, just to be seen but not heard, because just a kid, you don't really know anything. The adults think that you don't know anything. And, truth be told, a lot of times, if adults will just stop and listen, they can learn something from the youth, from their kids, and not shut them down, but listen, because they are human beings as well, and they're growing up to be the young men and the women, that they're going to be. And, I feel like God's going to have it going my whole testimony.
Whatever's on your heart, you could just speak whatever's on your heart, Caitlin.
So when I was 2.5, I became diagnosed with cancer, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I went through 2 years worth of chemo treatments. So by the time I was 5 is when I wrapped all the treatments up. My mom always said that that came so close to death so many times, more times than they could even count. And going through the treatments, you don't. A lot of people think that because I was so young, I wouldn't remember, but for some reason, I do remember a lot of what happened to me. Mm-hmm. I remember a lot of the trauma. I remember, the pain, a lot of the pain that I went through, and that caused me to become what I felt as an outcast by some of my family, my own brother, even to this day. He has hatred and bitterness and resentment towards me because he always thought that my parents cared for me more, loved him more than me. And that wasn't really so much the case. It's just, they couldn't have an 8-year-old boy hanging around a sick little girl who had no immune system. And so my brother, dealing with that for my brother, and growing up in school, y'all, I was a kid that got bullied. I was a kid that got called every name under the sun. And by the time I turned 13 years old, I went into a deep, deep, dark depression. I literally shut myself off and became a recluse. I would stay in my room. I would listen to my music, and I sang all the time. And that's actually where my love for music grew. And wonderful thing is a lot of times when God communicates with me, He communicates with me through songs. Mm-hmm. And and I never was suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts. I had the suicidal, ideations, and I would imagine things. But instead, more than anything, I just got to where I became so angry and so bitter, and that turned towards my parents, that turned towards God, and I just, I wouldn't really talk to a whole lot of people, and that kind of that carried out with me into my early 20s until about, and it led me into a lifestyle of promiscuity and several bad relationships. And that finally ended when God got a hold of me. When I was about 25, He started working on me, but I slipped a few times in between then and by the time I turned about 20, well, really 28. Now, mind you, I accepted Christ as my Lord and my Savior when I was 14 in a little Southern Baptist church. Preacher happened to be preaching on hell, and it scared me so bad. And I mean, tears streaming down my face. At the you know, when he's having the invitation, I went down there and I accepted Christ. And 2 weeks later, I got baptized. But the Lord started working on me and dealing with all of the anger and all of the bitterness and the hatred that had been growing in my heart the last couple, well, since 2020. And ever since October, November of 2020, my life has literally done a whole 360. And it all began one Sunday night at church when I had an older gentleman prophesy over me. And that was when I can say that truly my journey began with Christ.
Oh, sorry for interrupting. I was going to ask you, when you were going through your darkest moments, were your parents, and anybody can jump in about stuff that they experienced with as being younger, that any of your parents, were the parents able to see what you were going through?
I would have to say no, they didn't, because at the time, my dad hurt his back in 2000 on a job, and he had like 8 different back infusions done, and so he wasn't dealing with all of that. My mom was our sole provider, mainly, besides his little bit of social security that he finally, after I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years of being denied, got on disability. So my mom worked her tail off to try to take care of us kids and take care of the bills. And my dad, I know, got really depressed and down because he felt, I think in all, he hadn't, ever admitted, but I think it made him feel less of a man because he wanted to be the provider of the house. Well, my mom had to step up, and he got depressed, and he would be asleep a lot. He'd be on pain pills, and if you're not careful, those hydrocodones, you can get easily addicted to them. And he was just on, trying to figure out a way to cope and deal with his situation.
Which a lot of adults have to do that. A lot of adults have to do that, and to be honest with you, we don't know how to do that. A lot of times, being a parent, we try to act like we got everything together, but we don't. We're faking it. We're faking the funk, trying to make it through it. And a lot of times another thing I was guilty of when I was going through stuff, struggling and whatever, instead of saying to my kids, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what's going on in life, we try to protect you. But the thing of it is when you're in life, when something happens to you, if we protect you for it when life happens, it's not if life happens, it's when life happens, you're not going to be prepared for that. Did you want to say anything, Stephen, in regards to that? I was going to get you, Samantha, but I'm going to come back to you, Samantha. Is there stuff that you go through now that your parents may not see, or stuff that you may tell your friends, but we don't know as parents? Hey, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I said I feel like if I do try to express myself or something, I feel like I'll get judged, or people say certain things about me, or do certain things, or treat me a different way.
So you're saying who's judging us? The parents? Us parents are judging you because of how you feel?
Yeah, like they're telling me like, oh, you're fine, or nothing's wrong with you, just get over it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, we do. We all get to that. People tell you to get over stuff. People have death. People want to have suicide thoughts. People, and it's hard. And I know as an adult, because I was an outcast. So I know as a growing up and stuff, you can't share your intimate things with people because people start looking at you different. And then you're like, I open up to you, and what did you do? You mishandled me. And a lot of times that's what happens with people. Would you agree with that? You had something to say, Miss Samantha?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of us, like, even like as young adults, we have like sports and school and stuff, and so like I feel like we're also overwhelmed with that stuff, and then trying
Mm.
to our parents and they don't listen, and then they wonder why we don't talk to them, which is like kind of overwhelming because like we tried, but you didn't listen, so we kind of let's like close ourselves down.
Mm. That's a good point, though. Because when you're feeling something, you want somebody to be like, "Hey, I'm bleeding. Hey, I'm going through this," and then we tell you just get over it, or you don't know what you're talking about because you're too young. And we're guilty of that. And I apologize for the older generation, but that's why we're here on the show. And Natalie, you have a business that you're gonna. You knew I was gonna come to you.
I knew it.
You felt it in your spirit. Um, you have a what did you say? Youth influence youth. Is that
Yeah,
what?
youth
Tell me
influence
about
youth.
that.
So youth influence youth. It's really all about youth helping youth. So my big thing is, you know, it's time for everyone to get closer to God, but our bigger size, number of people that we really have to work on is youth.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much going on, nowadays. We have kids dying left and right, so the biggest influence on youth is youth. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they listen to each other before they listen to an adult or they listen to their parents. If they want to talk, they have their friends. So youth is the biggest impact for youth, and if we don't work together as you to get closer to God, then that will leave adults to have, kind of a struggle, but not necessarily. It won't necessarily be a struggle, but it'll be a lot harder because a lot of the youth feel like, the adults don't listen or, they really don't care about how they feel or what they have to say.
So, would you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like sometimes us as young people, we don't want to listen to. So
That is,
like,
yeah,
people will
that
try to help, but it's just the fact that we don't want to listen to what they gotta say. So that kind of messes us up too. So I don't think it's just all on the adults. It's stuff that we could do different too to level the situation out.
I agree, but I think we need each other.
yeah,
Like the
Yeah,
older
we do, but
generation.
I know myself, and sometimes I could be real obnoxious, and
Mm,
not want to hear what I
mm.
need
You
to
didn't just
hear.
open that door, Joe. You didn't
I
just
did
open
that
it.
myself.
You know Miss Willette gonna walk
See,
right in the door, right?
the first thing you gotta do is admit you wrong, and that's what I just did. So it's not always the adult. It's we gotta work on stuff that we can do different to try to understand. Because when you talk to somebody, you gotta talk to understand, not talk to reply.
Ooh, that's powerful, Joe. I think I'm gonna have to leave you alone a little bit. But that. So, what you think about that, Naya?
I don't know. Am I still getting feedback?
You can still. We still want to hear what you have to say, though.
Okay. Well, I can say from my past experience, I've had situations where like it was me and my mom, but she never really shut me down. That was like the only experience that I really had with anybody, me talking about my faith, especially in the beginning. I talked to my mom about it, but she never shut me down. I kind of shut myself down in that sense. So like whenever I got really depressed, my depression didn't really look like depression. It looked like more of like anger, and it wasn't identified as a cry for help.
Mm,
So whenever I was going through whatever I needed to go through, um, there was always my mom to go to. But with her, whenever I was going to her, I was lying and I was deceiving and I was manipulating based
mm,
off of my hurt. I was using my hurt against her to get what I wanted in the end. So, like you said, there is stuff that like us as a generation of youth can do to better the situation, and it's a give take kind of thing. So to get the older generation to change, we also got some changing to do too.
I'm impressed with you guys.
Coming with that, so there are youth that know, where they mess up, where that it's not just the adult. It's not. They're both of them are correct. It's not. But the thing about it is the youth that knows the difference. That's the whole youth influence youth. Is there are youth that know, that are aware of, that they know, oh, well, I don't want to listen to them. And they know that they've done that, but it's noticing the other youth that don't notice, that way the ones that know, they can help influence the ones that don't know.
That's good. That's good. Would you agree with that, Stephen?
Yeah, I would.
What's your take on it? As far as the adults and the youth both take responsibility.
I feel like the youth, like, they just, like, sometimes we just talk and we just need to, like, sit down and actually, like, listen to what our parents are trying to tell us sometimes. Or, like, and the same way for the parents, like, they need to, like, actually, like, just listen to what the kids are telling them and seeing their point of view of what's going on with them.
What, since you guys mostly, all you guys are in church, right? Most of you guys are in church. So is it hard to get your generation to church? Because they've been able to, I know firsthand that us and my generation, what would happen is we would go to church, and a lot of times we didn't live the way we went to church. We would live one way, and then when we go to church, we act another way. So because I know your generation, you guys only really connect to real. You guys really know when people are not real, they're superficial, and you don't adapt to them. So a lot of times when we try to tell you, like, come to church, and you were just acting like yada 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 when you were at home, or you were just talking about that person when you were at home. Now you want me to go to church and act a certain way. Do you guys agree with that? Anybody want to?
Yes, I was waiting on somebody else, but yes.
I feel like we playing a game. Like, you know how you do the budget and you do the thing and you like wait, like, who gonna pop the buzzer?
Yes. I can say it is pretty hard getting, some people our age to come to church. And sometimes it's because I've heard, that church people aren't who they, basically explain themselves to be, and it's not genuine. And a lot of the time that's the root of it, is they feel like it's not genuine.
See, our generation would go with the flow, whether you was fake or not, right? You got, for real. We would go with the program, even though we know they don't like you. We know that this and that, and we would still do it, the fake stuff. But your generation don't get down like that.
Not at all. They'll call you out on it.
Y'all playing the game, you let her win the points.
Yes, they will call you out on it.
They will call you out, and then it's like, no, but you said, yada. You can also tell, like, if say you're hanging out with somebody or whatever, you can also tell when that adult have been talking about you, because the child will start acting funny against that person.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You be looking at the kid, you be like, okay, I peep game, I see what's going on. But what about the stuff that you guys are dealing with? Okay, you're dealing with COVID. You're dealing with lack of socialism right now. You're dealing with the what's the drugs that's out now? The pills. Okay, Naya, I'm gonna call on you, so you might as well. We don't care about the feedback. We need to hear your back. We need to hear what you got to say. So take the.
I know in my school, like, there's heavy drug use. It's gotten to the point where, like, teachers and stuff, like, know about it, and, like, they just don't say anything. I remember I went into the bathroom this is like, I don't even use school bathrooms now because that's all that happens in school bathrooms at this point. But things like that just all the time. And being around that, it is a really big influence. Like I don't partake, but like there was a point in time where like I was very interested in things like that, and it almost got me. I was going down that rabbit hole for a while, and I had to like dig my way back out because I was really going through it at one point.
But I applaud you for not going that way.
Thank you, because it's bad.
Yeah, but applaud you because a lot of people don't know how to deal with what they're going through. And it's hard, especially you don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anybody to convey to. And suicide is very high in your young people. Have you guys anybody experienced anybody that have committed suicide, want to try to commit suicide, or anything to that magnitude?
I've had a few encounters with not only like other people's attempts of suicide, but also my own suicidal thoughts. I think I was in middle school sometime, and I went into the locker room, and there was a girl trying to hang herself, and I had to help her out of that. So that was my first ever encounter with like suicide or suicidal thoughts. And then year before last, I was having my own encounters with it, and I didn't really know how to approach it. I kind of just blew up. I was very angry. I was very depressed. But like I said before, my depression didn't really look like depression. It just looked angry and spiteful. So people didn't really associate my depression with depression, because it's not the stereotypical, oh, I was so down, I was crying all the time. It didn't look like that for me. Like I was still happy. I was still joking and laughing, but it didn't really look like that for me. So I've dealt with it on a helping and a going through it side of the scale.
So you're a functional depressed person. Yeah, like most people are. Like you don't want people to know that you're going through it because you don't want people to judge you. And a lot of times, if a lot of people there wouldn't be high suicides if people can actually go to people and convey and say, you know what, this is what I'm going through. You know, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, and sometimes we just need somebody just to talk about it. Sometimes to just get it out, to get it out of us what you're going through. I want to also go ahead.
I was gonna say things like therapy and like opening up to people have such a bad connotation though. Like whenever someone says, oh yeah, I go to therapy, immediately people's first thought is, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. So like we tend to fight the idea of therapy or opening up or a psychologist because people think if I have to go to therapy, then there's something like really wrong with me. People are going to judge me for it. Even like going to therapy, I thought my therapist was judging me. So it's just things like therapy have a very bad connotation.
And because in the Black community, we don't believe in going to therapy. One, we always said whatever happens in this house stays in this house. But that has kept a lot of people in prison because they can't go and tell somebody what they just experienced. And I want to revisit about, I know as a kid, I used to get angry with my mother, the stuff I would go through. And you've mentioned that a couple of times about the anger. Has anybody else experienced that when you're going through something, instead of talking to them, you're angry about it and they see it as you just being defiant, but not saying like it's a symptom? Does that make sense? Y'all can push the button. Joe, you can jump in anytime.
I would say that that's me quite often. But it's, for me, it's because I got so used to bottling it all up on the inside that it would just turn into nothing but anger. And God's been working on me for the last couple of years to just really communicate and be open. And I know a lot of people think I'm crazy because I'll be going through my hangout, even at the grocery store, and I'll be having a conversation with God, and everybody turn around looking at me. But that's what I developed. I developed where, I'm not ashamed to be out in public, and I'm not ashamed to be, washing dishes or driving down the road, having a conversation with God. And because of that, a lot of that anger and a lot of that frustration and the depression, has God has just delivered me and continues to heal me and keep me free from that. But
which is a blessing at
yes,
your age, where you guys being where you're at, you're in a good position, because I know that your peers are not in this type of position that you guys are at, because you guys hear all the horror stories out there and stuff that you guys are truly experiencing, like in Muskogee, Oklahoma, where you guys are the Smiths. You guys just lost two people close to you, didn't you? Were you close to the two that passed away recently?
I wasn't, but I'm waiting on Sam. Sam looked like she ready to say something.
Samantha, you ready? You ready? She is a Smith, huh?
Yeah. Well, like, I knew the younger one, not the older one, because the younger one, we all, like, everybody in our age group kind of grew up in the skating rink. So he was always around. Like, he was always happy and everything. So I knew him. And like, yeah, I wasn't like super duper close to him, but I was pretty close to him from that.
How old was he?
He was 16, the same age as us.
So how did that make you guys feel?
Um, I don't know. It was just like surprising that someone like our age, that young, like something happened to them like that, because it was a very brutal incident. So it was just crazy to think that that happened to someone so young, and then someone that I knew or I was pretty close to.
Can you say how he passed away?
He got shot in the face 3 times, and then he got shot in the body 3 times.
And the dude, how old was the older one?
He was 18.
Okay, and he got shot that many times also.
He got shot 11 times, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so being that young to see people lose their life in that magnitude, does that make you change the way you live?
I mean, I know a lot of people are involved in a lot of different stuff, which is from them like holding stuff in and then being around certain groups and thinking like these are my people or these are the people I can rely on, and then it kind of turns, which for me it's just like you always have to be careful who you encounter and how you encounter them and what you say, because something you might think doesn't come off the wrong way might come off different to somebody else.
Mhm,
So we all
mhm.
have to be aware of like how we come off and how we talk to certain people.
It's perception. You got that right, Samantha. What happens is, like, if I say something to you, I'm from California. Now I'm in Muskogee. So what worked in California is not going to work in Oklahoma, because it may mean something in California different than Oklahoma. Like, it may be something easy, funny, or something, but it may be offensive in Oklahoma. Then what happens is not how you say I have the best intention, right? It doesn't matter what my intention was. It matters how they receive it, how the person receive it. Even though your intention wasn't to hurt somebody, but sometimes it happens like that, and you're right on it when you said you have to be careful how you handle that, because that was such a deep situation, and you guys are young, same age, young man that you knew, same age as you. And where you live, do they offer any kind of grievance counseling or anything to that magnitude?
I wouldn't know about like the counseling part because I'm not really around them, but a lot of them, I don't know, they're all in the same group, so they kind of just rely on each other, I feel like, because like there was a lot of people that went to like his viewing and stuff, and they all basically rely on each other because they're so closed off to everybody else. That's how I've seen it, because I've talked to some of his friends and stuff too, but they don't like really talk a lot, or they're, I don't know, some of them can seem sort of rude, but it's just because they're so used to the little group that they stick to that they don't have any interest of like talking to anybody else.
Mhm. So, so when that happens, it's the people, his friends, and every round. Because when something to that magnitude happens, you don't go outside, you go inside. So you're going, if something happened to you that hard, you're not gonna be out there. If you were out flowing before, you're gonna go closer to just the people you know, because you're gonna think like, who can you trust, right? So how are they dealing with, how are you young people dealing with that great of a loss? Like, do you is there things for you to do in order, you know what I mean, to get through this?
Well, I've had a lot of people come to me like after that talking about like getting closer to God and stuff. And
Whoa.
so like yeah, I've had a few of them come to me and they're talking about like how they want to like be able to leave like the situation they're in. And this one particular person, he was telling me like he's been wanting to get closer to God, but he doesn't know how to start and how to get everybody else on the same road. So I
Wow.
told him like I was reading the certain chapter and it was pretty close to what we were all going through. And
Hmm.
so I told him to like look into that chapter first, and before being able to like lead anybody else to God, he has to be where he wants to be. So he'll have something to like testify about to other people.
Oh, I love that. So that's awesome that you're able to minister to them like that. Stephen, have you lost or any, and being in California, we have a lot of that stuff. Have you experienced any great loss with your peers?
Uh, yeah, I have. Um, my friend, he went and he was trying to buy a phone from this guy off of like eBay or something,
Uh huh.
and the guy that he was buying it from thought he had a gun, and then
Oh wow.
but he did it, and then he ended up shooting him, and he ended up dying.
How old was he?
He was 16.
Wow. Same age. Same
Yeah.
age. Same age. What can we do as a community? What can we do as people loving on each other? What is some stuff that we can change to make the difference?
Um,
Caitlin, I see you reaching for the buzzer. Are you reaching for the buzzer?
I was trying to get it. Wow. Wow. I would say, and all in all, God has been, I'm listening to everybody, and I feel in my spirit, the Lord is saying that for us to be able to um, help the youth to cope with what they're dealing with, but also come together as a community and work together. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're 16, if you're 18, if you're 20, 23, 29, if we're children of God, we're all in the body of Christ, and we need to be working together.
Right.
There is so much division in the body of Christ that it's ridiculous. And Satan, we have let Satan get into the church so much that we have become just, we stink. We stink
Ooh,
before the nostrils of God.
ooh,
And
that was good.
God has been really kind of just dealing with me on, personally, like for my family, but I've also been praying for the church. God's been having me praying against the spirit of religion.
Mm,
And God is telling me, I feel like He's telling me, we got to start being more genuine. We need to start being more true and authentic, and not try to put up a facade. Don't be fake. Be real. Be who God has called you to be. And and of course, if we would actually stick to the Word of God, we would learn who God says that we are and learn who He is. Then that will help us, to be able to walk in that authenticity and be able to help one another. We could cut down The suicidal rate. I mean, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I personally didn't. I have not lost anybody as a peer when I was in school. I knew a couple of girls that I used to be friends with her mom. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but we're no longer friends. But I actually mentored her middle daughter. God blessed me to mentor her middle daughter for a few years before God separated me from that. And she was in high school and she lost, I don't know, probably 4 friends throughout her whole journey to suicide. And they were all like 16 years old.
Wow.
And a lot of it was because they were bullied and peer pressure and feeling like, they couldn't go to anybody to talk about how they were feeling, and so they either hung themselves or they shot themselves. But for my personal experience, I recently, just before Christmas of this past year in 22, somebody that I went to school with, he's 27. He was a volunteer firefighter and he worked for EMS. He committed suicide. He shot himself. And he was somebody, and it was really hard on me because he was somebody that, I had really cared for. And it was rough. But I feel God is saying we have got to start being real. We've got to start pretending, going to church and putting up pretending to be this person like you're, this perfect Christian. And then when you go out the door, you're hitting the bars, you're hitting the clubs, you're gossiping about somebody, you're doing this, you're doing that. You've got to start being real, because the thing is God is seeing everything that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so tired of the fake. He is so tired of the religious people in the church that are not truly being a true disciple or true Christian of his word.
Mm-hmm. You know what's amazing, Caitlin? I get so excited hearing the young people that you guys are sold out for Christ, and I keep hearing Pastor Joe over there. Pastor Joe, it feels good for you, Caitlin, to have that fire for what's going on. How, Joe, with your generation, how can we change stuff? How can, now that happened in Muskogee, now that you lost somebody, Stephen, in California, how can we switch up the game so we don't lose anymore? What ideas could you tell us to give us some options?
I think what my dad and them started doing is something that I was thinking would be a good thing. Just like going out to parks and stuff like that where the youth usually is, and just letting them hear instead of just acting like saying that they don't know, letting them hear about God and like praying, just praying. It could just be everybody praying and they could just come over there and listen. They might not know what's going on, but just them being there, that could change their life just in that moment, because it could spark something and then flip a switch, and then that could make them want to go closer to God and really want to get to understand what Christianity and all of that is.
And that's amazing, because I've been able to go with you guys out to the parks and see the changes that people are hungry for the word of God. And the young people, you guys are hungry for the God. But Bridging the Gap is doing something different, because they are going to different parks every Thursday, and they putting their feet on the ground to save the youth and say no more to the devil. My thing of it is that with you guys bridging the gap, and we get with you, Natalie, in regards to what you said in church to your young people about you are the bridge. The thing of it is that you guys, I think, where you have the recipe is because in your church you have your grandmother, you got your great grandmother, you got your dad, you have your uncle, you have your aunt, and all the young people are out there together as one body.
Yes, and then as far as my dad and my aunt and my uncle, they're not any regular pastors. They're not any regular pastors. They'll tell you how it is. They'll even tell you what they've been through in life, just so you don't feel like you're alone. They want you to know that you're never alone. You're always welcome. Just come as yourself. And that's my favorite part. That's what I love. Because that's really the main thing as far as people feeling like they're not welcome into a church, or they don't want to go to church, because they feel like they're not welcome for them, as themselves. They can't come in as themselves. And that's one thing Bridging the Gap is big on. It's huge. They want it to be known that you're welcome to come in as you are. It doesn't matter what you have on, it doesn't matter what you look like, what you're going through, what you're dealing with. Just like my dad always says, everybody is X something, you
Yeah.
know? So that's, I think it's very well needed, for everyone to know, even pastors, like they've been through it. They're ex something, and they're able to share that with everyone.
And people need to hear that, because a lot of times we go to church and people think you have to come to church perfect. Well, nobody is perfect except for Jesus. So you never go to church to be perfect. So to go somewhere and be yourself, and to hear you say it from your mouth, to say that you can be yourself. How does it feel with there with being a pastor's kid? And Samantha, I see. Wait, hold on, that don't push the button yet. Don't push the button yet. I want to come down to Samantha down there, because see, I feel you got something to say.
I feel like being a pastor's kid in this generation, I mean, a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, really? But like, you can see it in us, like the kids in the church, because all of our parents are pretty much pastors, and it's like, if you tell them you're a PK, they directly come to you, and that's happened to me a lot. Like, I'll share stuff like on social media platforms, and I have people coming directly to me because they know I'm a preacher's kid, or like if they need to be prayed for or something, they'll come to me because they know.
Most of the time, preachers' kids get bad reps, though.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
Come on, Pastor
People
Joe.
be like, I heard
Come on, Pastor Joe.
preachers
What you got to
kids
say?
are the worst. That's what people be saying. I heard preachers kids are the worst. I'm
And
like, well,
what
you
you
ain't
say?
met this one.
Oh,
You ain't met this one.
We cut from a different cloth now.
oh.
Yes.
Okay, Smith. You come from a different cloth, being so elaborate on that.
So as far as people thinking, PKs have bad reps, they always, ask me what is it like, to be a preacher's kid. And I'll basically tell them, it's no different from any other kid, you know. Like, we still all go through the same things, and it's just that we have more influence, and we actually have that push, to have that drive to want to be closer to God. We have, that's kind of like an advantage, in my opinion, in a way, because even though we live the same lifestyle, or we all go through the same things, we have parents that care enough about us, to get us involved, and to actually, let us know it's okay. It's okay to be a preacher's kid. It's okay to be different, if other people think you're different, it's okay.
And that's a big point, because in the world, it's not okay to be different.
It's not at all.
In
You
the
get made,
world,
you get made fun of a lot.
hmm elaborate on that.
Like, some people, they'll tease you, if you say you're a PK, they'll tease you because they think that you can't do this or you can't do that, like they feel like they have an advantage.
Mm.
But in my opinion, PKs, they really have an advantage, but also the thing about being a PK is And having that advantage, it also gives me the advantage to do what I can to bring more people to God. So that's how I look at it.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I want to being different. You said like being different, Stephen, because I want your outside voice, Stephen, because you are a powerhouse in what you do. You're a basketball player, but you're a very good basketball player. So that makes you different and you stand out. Do you get any kind of does people come after you because you're different? Because you're
Yeah,
rare?
yeah. They be like, how do you get so good? How can you jump this high? How you can do that? And they always asking me for like the things that I did to get where I'm at now, and I tell them, and then they'll treat me a different way, like I'm like not a regular human. They'll just give me like
Mm-hmm.
matches to things and be like, oh no, it's Steven, leave him, he's fine, or they'll just treat me like I'm
Because you have
special.
a gift, because you have a gift, people will think that you think you're better than other people, right?
Yeah,
And then it causes jealousy, doesn't it?
yeah.
Uh-huh. I see all you guys shaking your heads. Okay. Elaborate on that, Naya.
I grew up um I grew up in a very sheltered life. Like I grew up in private schools and like gated neighborhoods, things like that. So when we moved, I was put into a public school system. And that was like my first time ever being in a public school system. So it was very different for me. And I got like run over and everything because I was deemed smart and I was deemed more fortunate and things like that. But they were always call me spoiled. And I'm like, I'm not spoiled. This is just how I grew up. I'm not entitled. This is just the life that I've known. So like whenever I would be like, oh no, I don't eat school food. I still to this day won't eat school food. And they're like, oh, that's so spoiled and you're just babied or whatever. I'm like, I've never had to eat school food. So and it's just things like that. I didn't grow up in the church. Like I didn't go to church every Sunday. I'm not a pastor's kid. I grew up outside of the church, but we watched online. So like I still had that connection. But whenever we got to our first church in Michigan, it was like a culture shock for me because everybody was like so in tune. Everybody was like so kind of like it was like a hive mind to me. And I was like, this is weird. I don't know how to be open about my actual faith. So I didn't like raise my hands like I would at home. And like to this day, I still struggle with like open faith. I still struggle with like showing people that I am a Christian. So like, unless the conversation is brought to me, I'm rarely the person to start the conversation. But things like that, I do still struggle with getting like, not, I wouldn't say attacked for, but like people pinpoint things like that. Oh, she's just a good girl or whatever. And I'm like, that's not. I just don't partake in the things that you guys partake in.
You know what that is too, though. What happens is when you're different, you any kind of difference. People don't understand different because in the world, there's 100% in the world, right? 87% of the world are followers. 3%, only 3% of the world are leaders. 10% are destroyers. So when you stand out against everybody, you're standing out. It takes a big person to be a leader. It takes a big person to go against the grain. If you drive down the street, you guys drive. If you watch everybody go down this one lane, right? Everybody going down the same lane, bumper to bumper. You go to the right hand side, ain't nobody over there. And then somebody will start driving when they see you go over there. That's the same thing. People want people, they'll follow you if you're a leader, but they'll also, it sets you apart because you're separated from everybody and you're going to get the warfare from that. And Samantha, I'm coming to you for that. Elaborate on that.
Well, I also go to a private school now too. So
Mm,
agree with like what she said with like the certain view and having like stand out. And so I feel like since I have such a different view on everything, obviously because I'm not in the majority of like what the school is too, a lot of people come to me or like they'll ask me about certain subjects, and then if I tell them, they're like, oh yeah, like come like group with me basically, so follow me or like be behind me and like what I say, because they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense compared to like what they know and what they've grown up doing. And so it's like it's really different because like a lot of them, they I don't know, they are very entitled, I can say. They stick to their one thing and they think they're entitled to. So like even with sports, they're like our coaches aren't as hard on us as like AAU coaches or like public school coaches. So they feel like they can do whatever. And I'm the one person that's like they're being easy on us. You can't complain about like what they're saying, cuz if you were to go anywhere else, it would be way harder and y'all would be quitting right now. And so it's just like after that, like a lot of people are like, okay, so we can do it, or like we should think about that more.
Good point. Caitlin, did you want to piggyback from that? Why are y'all surprised when I call on you? Please tell me. Go for it, Caitlin.
Ooh, I feel like my mind is an overload.
That's a good thing.
I know it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Right now, I don't really have anything at the moment to say. I'm really just listening because I just at the moment I don't have nothing to say.
So you just taste in every morsel.
I'm going as I feel the Lord puts it on me to speak.
Okay, that's a good thing.
It is, because I think too often we speak too much than we do listen, and we need to start listening more.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. Absolutely, absolutely. What do you guys? Each person as a future leader, each person I'm gonna ask, who are you going to be in your future? I'm going to Pastor Joe first. I told you I was gonna get you. I can't
That's a
help
good
it.
question. I just want to really be somebody the younger people can look up to, and just try to, lead by example.
Could you see yourself being a youth pastor?
Myself, I could.
I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Every time I would say your name, it'd be like Pastor Joe, Pastor Joe. I said not the one that say well, I stay ready all the time, but
I
I'm just kidding. But and so you see, you're just making a difference.
Yeah, that's really what I want to do. Because I feel like it's a lot of people who have ideas to do stuff, and like they know ways to do things, but they don't get out of their comfort zone to talk about stuff,
Mm,
like show people how to do stuff because they don't know how to go about it.
mm. That's good though. Yeah, and the comfort, nothing grows in your comfort zone.
Oh, not at
Nothing,
all.
and something that's growing, it's something that's not growing is dying.
That's true.
Nothing grows, and that's a good point. Oh, but I still see that pastor over there. Oh, next, Miss Smith.
Um, I just want to be a bridge. I just want to be a bridge to, bridge that gap. I just want the Lord to use me however He sees fit, basically.
That's good. So going back to the bridge, explain to us what you said at church about. Tell again about the name of the church and what you said in regards to the young people.
So, the church is bridging the gap, and I just feel like as of now, with everything that's going on right now, the youth is considered as the bridge, because we have a lot of influence on each other. There's a lot of youth that need help. They need an ear. They need God. It's a lot of them. So I just feel like the youth is the bridge, and everything that upholds that bridge, those are the adults. The adults, they can't do anything without the youth.
That's good. That's really good, and it's true. There's an example that I would always give is that growing my era, we were taught to stay in the box.
Mm.
You guys were taught what box you talking about. We were taught coloring the lines. You talking about what lines you talking about. And when you guys came out, you guys started doing the Apple computer. But we need each other because you guys are speed and we have the wisdom and the experience that we've been through. We have been through some stuff. Like your parents say, we have been through some stuff.
And the youth think they've been through some stuff, but they ain't been through it. They ain't been through it.
Yeah. But also you guys are so used to having stuff right at your hands. Microwave fast. Oh, I need it now. I need it now. We used to be like, take your time to get it. You know, you're going to work your way to it. I've seen people like, they move so fast, it don't even make sense how fast they do.
And take us up sometimes in between because of them moving so fast.
Yeah, but we need each other to get this done. And that's what this conversation is about. Nyla, before you give me that face, it's on you.
The impact, where I want to have the most impact is I want to go into like that middle ground. Like I said earlier, I want to go into early childhood education, but I specifically want to work with middle school because I feel like that's the middle where like things start getting really confusing. You know, by high school, you're kind of like, this is who I am. You're repping your colors real hard. Elementary, you're just having fun. Middle school is like where you're figuring out who you are. And I want to be a part of like helping people figure out who they are, who they want to be while edifying God in the school system. Because you don't see too much of that now. Like talking about your religion in school, it's like a sin. Teachers can't even teach, like, teachers aren't allowed to bring up their faith at all. So I just want to be there for that. Like I want to change that.
That's good to hear that the change and teachers and stuff are the foundation of everybody. They are the core of everybody. They should be one of the wealthiest careers there are because if we didn't have our teachers, we wouldn't have anything. Steven, where can we look for you for the future? What are you going to do to impact your generation?
To impact my generation, I just want to be like.
Talk a little louder. I can't hear you.
I just want to be like a positive person to spread joy and like to cancel out the negativity.
Okay, that's an awesome thing to do, and then doing it with your sports too.
Yeah,
that's cool. And Miss Caitlin, you didn't have to push the buzzer this time.
Actually, I already know. God's already shown me what He's going to do. Okay. I am going to be getting into women's ministry, helping young women in their 20s down to teenage girls, being able to just pour into them what I have gleaned from my teenage years all the way to now, helping women who have gone through abuse, that I have personally experienced, going through, helping them to reestablish their identity in Christ and how to teach them, equip them how to walk in the authority in Christ and to take back the territory in their lives that the enemy has stolen.
Come on.
And, God has been just, He's so loving, but sometimes it seems like He's a little bit of a drill sergeant, really been on me about learning how to operate in my authority in Him and taking back every area of my life that Satan has crept in and taken it back. God, not just women's ministry, but missionary. I've already got people inviting me to go to Kenya. I'm in prayer on that, but also really just getting out there and just helping people to, getting into deliverance ministry. God has shown me that. And so I'm just really excited on what God is going to do. And I'm so excited, how we get so impatient because like you said, we're in that instant society. We want it now, but God is saying, no, you're going to wait for my timing. And I'm actually in that season of having to learn to be patient and to wait on him. But I know that God is faithful because of everything that I've gone through and where I'm at now, that I don't have to worry. I know where I'm going to be. I know where God's going to take me.
And Miss Sam, you know I'm coming to you.
In this generation, I want to be someone to help people find their voice and their peace, because I know a lot of people struggle with peace and like where they're.
You know, you say a few little words, but they like the words that just sock you. You be like, I want more.
Oh, listen, she's really bright. She's really
no,
bright.
I know. And I'm like, I'm hanging like, I want more.
Yeah.
Damn, you know I'm here in Oklahoma, so I want more, Samantha. I'm super excited about everything everything that you guys are gonna do for the future. And normally I wouldn't have played the song, but I think I want to play the song just for us to meditate on the song that Nat sent us, and then so we can come out and close it out. What do you guys think about that? Let's do it. Let's play the song.
No other name but the name of Jesus. There's no hurt that cannot live. The grace you freely give, it's the raging flood. It covers us. For the thoughts that come to decay, you've sent love to strip them away, and you've left the truth that we're free in you. There is no bondage, every chain is broken. There is no bondage, Jesus, our hearts are open. No guilt, no shame, all my sins erased. There is no bondage, every chain is broken. Come on, say there's no hurt I cannot live. Say the grace. It covers us. Yes, it for the thoughts. Come on, say you sent love to strip them away. And you, that we're free in you. If you believe that in this place, I dare you to just shout it out. Say there is no blood. Say every chain is. There is no bondage. Say Jesus, our hearts are open. Say there is no guilt, no shame. All my stains are erased. There is no bondage. Every chain is broken. Come on and sing it. Say there is no bondage. Every chain is broken.
Welcome back to Driven to Empower You. I'm your host, Willett M Hurst, and I've been able to hang out with the coolest kids in the world, these future leaders that are taking the world by force. Natalie, you had that song that we just listened to. Can you tell me the name of the song and why you chose? What does that song mean to you and why you chose it?
It's called No Bondage, and the reason I picked that is because we have to look at our path to get closer to God as that. You know, we can't let anything come in between. We can't let anything bound us from, not getting closer to Him. I mean, because it's what He wants, and it's something we should want as well.
Absolutely. It was a beautiful song, making you want to get into worship. So I want Samantha to come back, but we're at the end of the show, and I just want to tell you each and every one that I just want to speak life and blessings over your future. I'm excited. I expect great things for each and every one of you because you guys are taking the world back by force in your generation. Pastor Joe, you taking it by force. Natalie, you're taking it by force. Yeah, Naya, you're taking it back by force. Stephen, you taking the court back by force. Caitlin, you taking the missionary streets by force. And Samantha, she's taking taking her area by force. You guys are gonna do great things. You're gonna reach great people, the young people generation. What's your slogan again, Natalie?
Youth influence youth.
I expect you to influence everybody that God puts in front of you guys. I'm honored to have been able to serve you guys this evening. Thank you for sharing time with us and pouring into us and educating us. That's it for Driven to Empower You. We'll see you next week if God says the same.